Hello, everyone, and welcome to A Course in Miracles 365, Awakening to Love. I'm your host, Tomas Garza, and I'm excited for today's idea from the workbook for students that we'll be covering here in just a moment. But I want to welcome you here to the live stream. Again, if you're just joining me for the first time, this is a live stream that is daily here on Enlightened World Network. And we've been coming to you since January, talking about the foundational spiritual principles of A Course in Miracles. And we're on a segment that is famous and infamous, depending on whom you ask, called the Workbook for Students, which is a series of daily ideas. They're short ideas that one reads about and we'll talk about here on the live stream and practice. That's what it's all about. All of spirituality is about experience and practice. And one of the beauties of A Course in Miracles is, especially in this workbook, is it gives us something to do. We're not expected to simply swallow something that may or may not resonate with you. Sound like anybody's experience growing up in the Judeo-Christian tradition, maybe? Possibly, right? We're not expected to randomly or haphazardly or rote believe anything. We're invited to question our assumptions, to question everything, literally everything, that we now believe. And to me, I think this is brilliant. It is tremendously empowering. This is a thought system and it's a self-study course. So we go at our own pace. You may be at a different place in this workbook, or you may not have begun. And if you choose to begin, I'm here to help and support you on that journey, because it is a journey and we're all here supporting one another. That's one of the beauties of all of this, is it's shared. That's why when you look at what's out there, as far as community for A Course in Miracles, you'll see that there's a lot. There's a lot of it. Spirituality is a shared experience. It's a mutually shared experience. And there are groups, there are study groups, there are all kinds of beautiful writings and commentaries that are available online and in print. And you don't even need to own a copy of the book, A Course in Miracles, to get a lot out of this live stream. So if you're just joining me, welcome. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for all of your likes, loves, the hearts, the shares, all of the comments, and feel welcome to leave comments here as I go along in the live stream. I check them at the end of the live, which is short, usually about 20 minutes all told. And I like to have that live interaction. So if you're tuning in, feel welcome to say hi, and I'll give you a shout out here in a few minutes. All right. So what is it about lesson 104 in the workbook that makes me so happy? And I hope makes you happy too. We're going to talk about it. The idea for today is I seek but what belongs to me in truth. I seek but what belongs to me in truth. I don't seek anything else. And what I seek belongs to me in truth. Mine. And not exclusively mine, it's yours as well. You say this yourself, I seek but what belongs to me in truth. This is a beautiful statement. It is a reaffirmation that's quite a bit more powerful than any other worldly affirmation you could make. It's a statement of purpose. And to recite this, to tell yourself this, whether you say this out loud or in your own mind silently, it gives you tremendous power. What I'm saying here is that the power of God goes with you. Why? It's yours. Yours. It's mine. It's all of ours. And I know that deep down in your heart, in your being, you know this to be true. I'm certain that you know this to be true. We all know it to be true. However, we're running around in the world having vastly different experiences, having identified with a sense of separate self, which we call in A Course in Miracles, or from Eastern philosophy, from Buddhism, for example, the ego. Now, having identified with the ego, we suffer, plain and simple. Yeah, separation is suffering, is it not? I think of the happiness that you do have in this lifetime. Think of happy moments that you have enjoyed. We can all think of many, and they don't last. They don't last, do they? Because of our habitual tendencies, our habitual conditioning that sucks us right back into the vortex of self doubt, of lack, of not being enough, of being unhappy, frustrated, and afraid. You name it. You name it. We get sucked back down into that, and spiritual practice is about a number of things, but first and foremost, it's recognizing that that is the situation here. And secondly, there is a solution to that. That's the beautiful component. There is a solution to that. There is a way out of this. And that's spiritual practice. Now, A Course in Miracles, naturally, of course, is not the only form of spiritual practice in the world, and it is not designed to necessarily replace anything that you're currently doing. So do what resonates with you. There are many, many different types of spiritual practice existent on this planet right now to speak to many, many, many different types of people, different cultural upbringings, different genders, right? Different proclivities, different things that you relate to, different things that inspire you. All of them lead to the same place. It's where we're all headed. So, whatever your practice looks like, let these lessons, if you're not following the workbook here in A Course in Miracles, let these lessons just stand as statements of truth, universal truth, and let them inform and augment and give power and light and fuel to your own journey. That's my hope for all of us. Now, you could choose to have A Course in Miracles be the centerpiece of your spiritual practice. It has been for me for the past 8 years, but that's a personal decision. So, to the extent that this speaks to you, it would be very beautiful and very kind of you to put this into practice right now, today, in the way that we'll talk about. So I seek but what belongs to me in truth. Joy and peace belong to me in truth. They belong to you in truth. They are our birthright. Why? They're given to us by God. It's who we are. It's who we are. So why wouldn't joy and peace belong to us in truth? Well, they do. Yet we've convinced ourselves, haven't we, in the world? We've convinced ourselves that we're somehow unworthy of this, that we're stuck in a round or a lot of suffering about which we have no choice. We tell ourselves things like, that's just the way the world is. Isn't it a bummer? Insert another word for bummer that starts with a B, right? Life's a bummer. Have you ever said that to yourself? Have you ever met people that say that, that think that there's nothing we can do about any of this? Yeah. Rest assured there is. And I know you know that there is because you're watching this. You're here on Enlightened World Network. So, of course, you know that there is something that we can do about it. Now, what can we do about it? Well, there are many things that we could do about it. Joy and peace are our birthright. And here is something that's very empowering, very uplifting and beautiful, is we don't have to wait for this. We don't have to wait until the physical body is utterly useless and we leave it behind. In other words, what we call death, right? We don't have to wait for the end of this communication mechanism, which is what the body is, by the way, pretty clearly. Yeah. We don't have to wait until then to experience the joy and peace of God. Why? It's who we are. We've simply made a choice not to see it. So, what does that mean? It means we have the opportunity to choose to see it, to choose to feel that, and to embody this. It is available to each of us right now. You need not wait. You need not wait. On Monday this week, a few days ago, I talked in my special focus for the week about delay on the spiritual path. And again, we reach this subject. When we consider it, we have no choice, right? It's a happy thing. But to conclude that we don't need to delay. It's not necessary that you put this off. So, what does the workbook suggest that you do? Well, the workbook suggests that you practice the way it says to. Now, understand that if you're new to this, that you're not doing it wrong. If you omit a day or skip a day, I've done this before. I've done the workbook a couple of times from the beginning to the end, and well, I didn't always practice every single lesson exactly as suggested. Sometimes I forgot the day's idea altogether. And I have a habit of reading it in the morning, doing a practice session in the morning. It's part of my morning routine that's pretty much sacrosanct unless I'm getting on an airplane. I do that every day with coffee and journaling and all of that. So you may have a morning routine as well. I've incorporated this into it, but there were many times, especially initially, where I would do my first practice and then, let's say, for example, the day's idea called for repeating the idea several times or hourly or a certain number of practice periods. There were many times where I got ready to go to bed at night, and then and only then did I remember the day's idea again. So it's quite common. We literally get swept away. And this is a reason why a lot of people quit doing the workbook. It's because they don't feel like they're doing it right. Well, you are doing it right. All you do is show up, and when you remember the day's idea, practice it. This is like a living, breathing, waking meditation. Life, in fact, could be seen as a giant, long meditation. If you get distracted, what happens? You bring your awareness back to the object of meditation. You can let the workbook idea for the day serve as the object of meditation, so to speak. It's taking your practice off the cushion. If you're a yogi, off the mat. Yeah, same thing. It's taking your living, breathing practice out of regular formal practice periods and into life where you show up differently as a result. You show up as a more loving person. You show up more forgiving. It's a beautiful thing. This is available to you right now, so I suggest that you read the commentary in the workbook for students. It's very short for lesson 104 today, and practice this as often as you remember. I seek but what belongs to me in truth, and joy and peace are my inheritance. Now, every time you tell yourself that, whether you repeat it out loud, as I just did, or whether you repeat that silently in your mind, every time will have tremendous impact on you. What you're doing is you're training your mind. You are telling yourself and you're reaffirming what you've always known. because joy and peace are, in fact, your inheritance. They are who you are, and they're waiting for you to accept them. If you prefer the verb claim, go with that. It's waiting for you to accept right now. No waiting. The peace of God is available to you right now. It's God's will. You will also find that it's your will too. They're one and the same. So this is a very beautiful, and as they all are, a very profound lesson here today in the workbook. So I invite you to take this and every workbook idea to heart and practice it as best you can. That is all we can do, after all, isn't it? Is our best. And when I think about this, I always think of Don Miguel Ruiz and the Four Agreements. That is one of the Four Agreements, by the way, is do your best. Every day is different, right? Some days you forget about the workbook idea completely, you get swept away. All kinds of things can happen, and it's okay. Just do your best, because some days you're going to show up, you're going to be on top of your game. You're going to know exactly what to say and to whom and in what tone, and you'll be a complete conduit for the Holy Spirit. You'll be a complete conduit for source energy, and you'll be in the flow and in the zone, and the next day you won't be. Life is like that. Just do your best. So remember to do your best with these, and if that means you remember the day's idea once or twice, fantastic. Yeah, that's good. We do what we're capable of, knowing that what's the most important is not fulfilling all of the practice periods to the letter, verbatim, every hour on the hour. That's not the most important thing. The most important thing is that we take it to heart, that we begin to integrate this, that we begin to embody it. That's what truly, truly matters. All right. Well, and if you have any questions or comments about this or any other workbook lesson, feel welcome to just write this here in the comment thread. And thank you all for tuning in, for all your shares, likes, and all the hearts, everything. The interaction is beautiful. So thank you so much for being a part of this community and for tuning in today. I will see you here again tomorrow.